Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. My name is Troy, and here on my channel, I talk about dividend stocks with a focus on total returns. So if you're into all that get-rich-quick stuff, then you're in the wrong place.
Must be lost.
Each week, I comb through the stocks with upcoming ex-dividend dates, aka the date you need to own the stock before in order to get paid the next dividend from that company, in hopes of finding about 5 or so that I can share with my subscribers who might be looking for new dividend stock ideas. Some of these stocks you might be hearing about for the very first time. So of course, do your own research, as I'm just a dude on YouTube and none of this is to be taken as financial advice. With that being said, you probably have heard about this first stock many times. Coming in at number 5 on this week's list is Apple, stock ticker AAPL. Believe it or not, with mention in today's video, this is only the second time I've talked about this stock in this series, including one selection in a row. The very first time I spoke about it was episode 139, which was released on February 7th of 2025. So let's go ahead and look at the numbers behind this stock. Apple is a quarterly payer in the technology sector, paying $1.04 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.38%. Apple has been paying and growing its dividend for the past 14 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 4.6%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 5.43%, and a payout ratio of 12.84%. Now, at the time of recording, Apple was trading 2.51% off of its 52-week high. It has an ex-dividend date of November 10th with a payout date of November 13th. And checking out their chart, 10 years ago, Apple was sitting at a starting share price of $30.30. 10 years later, that share price was sitting at $270.37 per share, which leads to a total return of 892.71% or 25.8% per year, which leads to an outperformance in the terms of dollars and cents of $60,873.63 over the S&P 500. Next up on this week's list, coming in at number 4 is MSCI, stock ticker MSCI. With mention in today's video, this is now the 12th time I've spoken about this stock in this series, including one selection in a row. The very first time I spoke about this stock was way back in episode 8, which was released on August 5th of 2022. So let me tell you some stuff about this one. MSCI is a quarterly payer in the financial sector, paying $7.20 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 1.22%. MSCI has been paying and growing its dividend for the past 12 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate sitting at 20.7%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 20.49%, and a payout ratio of 37.14%. Now, at the time of recording, MSCI was trading 8.39% off of its 52-week high. It has an ex-dividend date of November 14th with a payout date of November 28th. And checking out their chart, 10 years ago, MSCI had a starting share price of $71.05. At the time of recording, that share price was sitting at $588.55. This leads to a total return of 823.28% or 24.89% per year, which leads to an outperformance over the S&P 500 of $53,922.21. Next up on this week's list, first one on the podium, coming in at number 3, is Eli Lilly, stock ticker LLY. With mention in today's video, I've talked about this stock in this series 7 times, including 2 selections in a row. The very first time I spoke about this stock was also in episode 8, which was released on August 5th of 2022. So let me tell you some stuff about this one. Eli Lilly is a quarterly payer in the healthcare sector, paying $6 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.7%. Eli Lilly has been paying and growing its dividend for the last 11 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 15.21%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 15.05%, and a payout ratio just under 20%. Now, at the time of recording, Eli Lilly was trading 7.78% off of its 52-week high. It has an ex-dividend date of November 14th with a payout date of December 10th. And checking out their chart, 10 years ago, Eli Lilly was sitting at a starting share price of $82.04 per share. At the time of recording, that was up to $862.86 per share. This leads to a total return of 1,154.57% or an average annual return of 28.78%. Now that's per year. All of that leads to an outperformance over the S&P 500 of $87,060.19. The next stock on this week's list, I'm super excited to share with you guys because I've never talked about it here on this channel before. Coming in at number 2 on this week's list is Royalty Pharma, stock ticker RPRX. RPRX is a quarterly payer in the healthcare sector, paying 88 cents per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 2.34%. RPRX has been paying and growing its dividend for the past 6 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate sitting at 7.3%, and I wasn't able to find a 5-year dividend growth rate. Typically, these stocks with 6-year dividend streaks, sometimes the 5-year dividend growth rate doesn't register for some reason, so we don't have one to share at this time, but they do have a payout ratio that is sustainable at 18.53%. Now, at the time of recording, Royalty Pharma was only trading 1.21% off of its 52-week high. It has an ex-dividend date of November 14th with a payout date of December 10th. And check out this chart. As a reminder, this is only number 2 on this week's list, so you're going to need to stay for number 1. But anyway, RPRX 10 years ago was at a starting share price of $1.67 per share. At the time of recording, that was up to $37.54 per share. This is a total return of 2,426.58%, or an average annual return over each of the last 10 years of 38.12%, which leads to an outperformance over the S&P 500 over the past 10 years of $214,283.27. And here it is. You made it to the number 1 stock on this week's list. Anybody that knows me is going to be familiar with this stock, but I don't hear it talked about many other places. Coming in at number 1 on this week's list is Comfort Systems USA, stock ticker FIX. With mention in today's video, this is now the 11th time I've talked about this stock in this series, including 8 selections in a row. The very first time I talked about this stock was in episode 9, which was released on August 12th of 2022. So let me tell you about this awesome stock. FIX is a quarterly payer in the industrial sector, paying $2.40 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of just 0.25%. FIX has been paying and growing this dividend for the past 13 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of just 35.72%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of just 24.89%. Oh, and it's kind of sustainable because the payout ratio sits at a massive 7.2%. Now, at the time of recording, Comfort Systems USA was actually trading 5.36% off of its 52-week high, so there's a little opportunity here. They have an ex-dividend date of November 13th with a payout date of November 24th, and buckle up. Looking at this chart, you can see that FIX 10 years ago was sitting at a starting share price of $31.28. At the time of recording, that was up to $965.58 per share. This is a total return of 3,202.76%, or just 41.87% per year over each of the past 10 years. This leads to an ending investment. Instead of $10,000, you'd have about $330,297.80. Who's counting? That leads to an outperformance over the S&P 500 of $291,904.08. On the screen now will be the rest of the stocks that I had to pick from that met all of the requirements but didn't make this week's list, just in case you wanted to look into those stocks as well. Let me know if you happen to own any of the stocks mentioned in today's video, and if so, how they're doing for you. If you don't own any of them, which stocks look the most interesting to you from this week's list? And if you happen to miss last week's list, you definitely missed every ex-dividend date from that list. But if you're still in the market for 5 super high quality dividend stocks, you can check that video out right here. But until next time, see ya.